Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lattes on My Mind.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Felina. Hannah, what are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about one of our namesakes, coffee. So grab your lattes, literally this week. Grab your lattes and join us for the journey.
We can't go without talking about coffee. It's in our name.
I know. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then what did I do? I was like, I'm going to do it. Because didn't someone in your family say people are going to think it's just about coffee?
It was one of my friends.
Oh, it was one of your friends.
You realize people are going to think it's a coffee podcast. I was like, I'm aware.
I'm aware.
So we're just giving the people what they want.
We're giving you all what you want.
We're not going to be clickbait. We're going to actually do a coffee episode.
I mean, we kind of have to. I know we talked about coffee in our first episode.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the core of who I am, and I can't help it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Because we had a few heavy topics.
Yes. So we figured, why not lighten it up a little bit?
But then I found out some things about coffee that apparently are not so light.
Oh.
But that's just, that's not what I'm focusing on. But all that to say, do you know that every single time I go to 7 Brew and I order your drink, people are like, that sounds so good.
Really?
Every time I order your drink.
Well, I mean, they're not wrong. It is so good. It's so delicious.
And I'm just like, I order mine and they're just like, okay, basic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, I order yours and they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. And then I'm easy peasy for Marshall.
Right. Just cold brew. I only had that happen once.
Really?
Yeah. And that was the other day whenever I had a half day.
It happens a lot to me. Like everyone, and it's always your drink.
Yeah.
Like I'll order mine, nothing, because it's boring. And
it's
then
not boring.
Well, I mean,
it's good.
It's good, but it's like not anything special.
It's
but then I
more
say
typical.
yours. Yeah. I say yours and they're like, that sounds so good. And I'm like, okay, I know. That's my friends.
Yeah. For everybody who's wondering, I get a large iced chai with 1 shot of espresso because I'm a weak little baby. And salted honey. I forgot my coffee order for a second, but there it is.
That's okay. I'm just proud of you for actually putting a shot in it because I was talking to Wes this morning and he was like, why are you guys talking about coffee? Felina doesn't even like coffee. And I was like, hold on.
Hold up now, Wes.
He's like, you're already starting out on a lie to the people. And I'm like, we already talked about this. Felina already told the people that she cannot do strong coffee, but she's trying and she's learning.
And I'm learning.
She's learning that a little espresso shot and that chai is delicious.
Yeah, well, it gives me energy, so.
It does, yeah. It's hard.
I do cover it up with salted honey.
That's
but...
okay. That's okay. We all start somewhere. And so we wanted to clear up that this podcast is not solely about coffee, but it is heavily fueled by coffee.
It is. Every time we record, we get our 7 Brew coffee.
I know. I said I have to go get coffee in the morning, and Wes was like, you have to? And I'm like, well, the one week I'm talking about coffee, and you think I'm not going to go get coffee?
Right. Get out of here, Wes.
Anyway, I continue to be addicted to it. As you all know, I worked at a coffee shop, a large coffee shop, for 7 years. And then, one day it cracked me up. We were driving, and I was like, I know, it's like such an addiction. And you go...
It's not an addiction, it's tradition.
So this is how me and Felina excuse our addiction. It is a tradition for us.
Well, because we were going, I think we talked about this in our intro. We're creative services producers. We create commercials for a local news station. And we had a shoot for one of the commercials or promos or something
we were doing.
So on the way back to the station, we picked up coffee. And that's when you were like, it's such an addiction. I said, no, it's tradition.
And I thought that's my mantra now in life.
It's not an addiction. It's tradition. Now, if you are actually struggling with addiction of some kind, maybe get some help with that.
Yes. If you're struggling with addiction, that's a whole other issue. But we're going to talk about the tradition surrounding coffee today. Well, I mean, the history really, but got it tied in somehow. The tradition and the history and some fun facts about coffee. I got some weird ones.
Some little zany facts.
I always got to find some weird ones. And apparently, what another tradition for me is that I'm going to start this out with a quiz, Felina. Okay, Felina, there are kind of 2 answers to this, but I want you to listen carefully. The question is, what country do you think drinks the most coffee per person? So this doesn't mean the country overall drinks the most coffee, but per person. So like each individual person drinks the most coffee.
I feel like if I say America, it's like a trick question.
It's a trick. I always like to trick you.
So let the record state, I'm only not saying America because I feel like it's a trick question. But I feel like, is it when...
This is not an easy question. Like,
no.
You're not going to...
I feel like it's somewhere in the Middle East.
Okay, that's a good guess, but it's not in the Middle East. But a lot of...
Because they have a lot of good coffee there.
Is
okay,
from
so
the
it's
Middle
not
East.
in the Middle East. All right. And it's not America. Well, I mean, it could be, but I don't think it is. I'm really trying to think here.
I know.
Sorry, that was really long
I really threw... It's okay. I really threw you off. Do you want me to give you options? I didn't make options, but
give me some options.
Okay. All right. Option 1. 1, Norway. 2, Canada. 3, Finland. 4, the United States of America.
Well, shoot. Now you're just playing with me.
Now I'm really playing with you.
You're just baiting me. So Norway, Finland, Canada,
yes.
and the U.S. I feel like Canada would be a good answer because they're always cold there.
This is true.
I'm going to go Norway.
Norway, you're so close.
Finland.
It's Finland.
Okay.
But this is per person. This is, and I really threw you off because, okay, America is actually the country that drinks the most overall. So like the whole country, we consume the most coffee beans in the world.
Gotcha.
But Finland drinks the most per person. So they actually drink 26.45 pounds of coffee per capita. So per person per year. 26.45 pounds.
Pounds. Okay, at first I thought you said ounces.
No, pounds.
Pounds.
So imagine like
in Finland?
Like a pound bag coffee is like that big, right? So they drink like 26.45 pounds of coffee per capita, per person, per year. And apparently it's drunk all day.
Per year, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not to...
I'm thinking per month.
Oh,
over
gosh,
here, I'm
no,
like,
no,
oh
no.
my God.
Oh
weekly?
my gosh.
They drink
Oh my
26
gosh.
pounds weekly?
Well, that's still a lot. Because in the U.S., okay, so it's a list of 25 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 25 countries, excuse me. And I said you were close because Norway and Iceland are actually in second and third.
Okay.
Per person. And then apparently in the list of 25 countries, America falls at the bottom of the 25. Because apparently we only drink 9.26 pounds per person per year.
What do we, like, water it down way too much? Like, what?
I don't know.
Get the most out of it.
I'm shocked because I thought the U.S. would be, like I said,
high.
Yeah, I thought it would be higher per person.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, like, and think of it. I mean, the United States, we probably have a lot more people than Finland. So, of course, our country as a whole is going to consume more coffee.
Yeah.
But per person, it's Finland. And apparently it is drunk apparently almost every day, all day by most people in Finland. And the majority of workers' unions require in Finland to have coffee breaks during your workday. I'm like, I want to live there.
Looks like we're moving to Finland.
Everyone wants to move to Finland. Honestly, it sounds like a great place to live. Like Finland, Norway, Iceland. I'm like Sweden, all up there. I'm for it. They have coffee, and I want to go.
I'm for it. They have a lot of coffee.
They have a lot of coffee, and apparently Canada is the one non-European country to fall within the top 10 on that chart.
Canada is?
Yeah, one of the only non-European countries. So everything else was in Europe, which I thought was interesting.
I was saying like Europe and like
the Middle East.
Yeah, that's going to be heavy. I didn't want to say like, I almost wanted to say Ireland, but then I was like, I feel like that's just beer.
They're too busy drinking beer.
Yeah.
Ireland drinks a lot of tea, I think, but I wouldn't know the statistics.
I know that, like, obviously, London, England, whatever.
But I got all that information from a site, World Atlas, if any of you want to know. And yeah, so that's what they told me.
Wow.
That's what they told me.
Interesting.
So, do you know that coffee is the biggest commodity in the world, followed by crude oil? So the most traded...
What is crude oil?
Oil that makes like gasoline. Okay. So essentially we got oil that makes gasoline and then coffee, the second most traded commodity in the world.
I believe it because like people are so heavily reliant on it. And like we were saying before, caffeine is an addiction. So like,
I know.
If that's how you can get your fix.
What's the little coffee thing that you showed me? Because I haven't seen
Gilmore Girls. Gilmore
Isn't
Girls.
That bad?
Lorelai Gilmore. I think it was whenever she was fighting. I can't remember for sure. It's been a while. But like, she was fighting with Luke, and she was like, went to a different shop, and she said, I want coffee, coffee, coffee. And then they gave her 3 coffees. And she was like, no. I just wanted 1 coffee. I just said coffee, coffee, coffee. Like I really need a coffee, coffee, coffee. Yeah, it's fine. You should go look it up. Just
look it up.
Lorelai Gilmore, coffee, coffee, coffee.
Coffee, coffee, coffee. So if we name this episode Coffee, Coffee, Coffee.
We should.
That's why.
We should.
And also, around the world, on a daily basis, about 2.25 billion cups of coffee are enjoyed on a daily basis.
2.25
billion around the world, around the globe. That's how many cups of coffee are drank on a daily basis.
That's so many cups of coffee.
Everyone's just sipping on their coffee. And people want to say that coffee is not important.
Coffee is important.
It is. Now, do you know the story of the goat?
I feel like you're going to tell me.
I am going to tell you, but having worked in coffee before, I've already heard the story. And also watching Good Eats.
Is it just like what's the word? Whenever like you're
like you're training?
Joining a sorority or something. What's that?
Oh, you're like initiation?
Is it your initiation
it's
to
your
hear
initiation.
The goat story at every coffee shop?
Yes, it is.
Really?
No, it's actually not. I just knew about it because I don't know if you've ever seen Good Eats. It's like by Alton Brown. It's this nerdy science cooking show.
Is that the
Food
one
Network.
with the talking hamburger?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
On Food Network, like it was on TV. Yeah. It
was like
older.
Bill Nye the Science Guy, but with food.
Yeah.
Alton Brown.
I've seen that. Yeah.
It's super corny, awesome. I love it. I had it playing recently, and Wes was kind of like, "What are you watching?" But then he was also kind of like,
"Yeah, I kind of can't take my eyes off of it."
Like, I can't take my eyes off of it.
What are you watching, you weirdo? Why can't I not get enough of this?
All right. So let me tell you about the goat, since you don't know about it, because I was hoping you didn't. You might once you start hearing it. So according to The Collector, the old tales. So we're talking about a legend, a myth. You know, Hannah likes to start out with those.
Some mythology.
Yeah, I got to throw that in there. But, this is how it usually always starts with a legend. When you're talking about something that goes way back. Coffee has been around for centuries and centuries and centuries. According to Marshall, 35,000 years ago. No, just kidding. Apparently, last time when I claimed I was not a historian, apparently already.
Well, she's really not, you guys. Turns out. If there was any doubt, she truly isn't.
I truly am not. What was it? It was the mummy thing that I was talking about.
I think it was in the Mummy Nibble episode. You said 37,000 and you meant 3,700.
And I meant 3,700 BC, or I think it was BC. So for those of you who listen to that, I apologize. I should have my date correct in this. I should be able to say this one. Let's hope. So according to The Collector and the old tales and legends, in about 800 AD.
No, you meant to say 800, right?
800.
Okay.
I said it right. Coffee was not a human discovery, but rather was discovered by some friendly goats. Apparently,
a little
Billy goat. Billy the goat. Apparently, there was this goat herder.
Herd, yeah.
Herder. Well, that's the name of him. He's a goat herder.
He's a goat farmer.
He's a goat farmer. We'll say farmer. In Ethiopia.
Oh.
Named Kaldi. And he stumbled upon his goats being really hyper, dancing around, jumping around, and he found that they were snacking on these red berries.
Oh.
Which, do you know that that coffee beans are within a fruit? Yeah.
I was like, red berries? Was that the bean then?
Yeah.
Or no?
It has like a little husk around it. I read somewhere.
Kind of like a walnut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's within this little fruit. So they look like red berries. According to the National Coffee Association, which I want to be a part of, so call me, Kaldi, the goat herder, realized that when his goats ate the coffee beans, that weren't actually coffee beans, but they were, that they stayed up at night.
Oh.
Yeah, they were just like...
He's got 24/7
goats screaming. Can you imagine?
Yelling goats.
I would be like, shut up.
What I want to know is, are these the fainting type of goats?
Oh, fainting and screaming at the same time.
Oh my goodness. They're too hyper. They get too scared. Because, I don't
know. I wonder what kind of ghosts they were.
A lot of caffeine, makes you anxious.
Oh,
so they're anxious. So it's like, if they're anxious, they're fainting. I can just picture it now, and I'm so happy about it.
I know. I feel like that's me in the office. I feel like I'm about to faint, and my head's dizzy, but I'm going to get more caffeine.
I feel like I'm about to faint. How much water have you drank? Right. None. Okay, coffee.
How much coffee have you drank? Well,
this is my second cup.
But apparently, he's like, this is interesting. So he takes these berries, the goat herder, not the goats. Kaldi is his name. He takes the berries to the nearby monastery, and there's some monks there. And he's like, hey, look at these berries that I found. And they're like, we're pretty sure this is of the devil. Oh, obviously of the devil.
Coffee is the devil.
I was wondering if you were going to use that quote again. You can use it twice in this one because I have something else coming up.
Yes.
Apparently the monks cast the berries into the nearby fire.
I bet that smelled so good.
You caught on. You're
I bet that smelled
everything.
So good.
Coffee smells so good. You
coffee
agree with this?
Smells delicious.
Okay, because I know some people that are like, coffee's disgusting, and I'm like, even the smell, and I'm like, what?
No, coffee smells delicious, which is why I'm so mad that I'm such a bebe and I cannot drink more than one shot.
I feel like we should start like giving you like little sips of black coffee because. At my job, like I don't even drink black coffee, but at my previous job, Wes was all like, are you going to talk about, you know what, the place, where we worked,
where you met the love of your life.
Where I met the love of my life.
You guys, it was so cute. At their wedding, we literally, their guest book, we signed their aprons.
Yes.
Where they met.
We met as baristas. You all know what it is. I'm just not going to say it just in case I need to say anything else about it, but we're not going to say the name, but you all know. I'm looking you in your eyes. You all know where I worked. Mm-hmm. Yes. We put our aprons out as guest books.
And you served coffee.
And we served iced coffee.
And do you know I had some?
You did?
I did.
Was it disgusting? I made it pretty strong.
You did make it really strong. Marshall was super happy.
Oh, was he?
I just put very little coffee in there and
that's funny.
Mainly creamer.
A lot of half and half. She said
cream and sugar and
so I would be happy with where was I going with this? What were we talking about? Well, Wes was like, are you going to share any stories? And I'm like, honestly, I didn't even think of it. Like I worked there for so long that all the stories kind of blend together. But yes, we had crazy customers. Yes, I have so many stories, non-specific that stick out today. But if we think of it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the monks. So, as you predicted, the monks throw it into a nearby fire, and they're like, "Well, crap, this smells delicious."
No way.
Yeah, they could smell it, so they pulled them out. And obviously, this is legend, this is myth, but they did the first thing that came to their mind, obviously, which was smash them up like into modern day grounds and put them in hot water, because obviously you would think of that immediately.
Well, I mean, I can kind of see it though, because it's like, oh, we put these in a fire. True. And they emitted the smell that was delicious. Yeah. So maybe if we put them in hot water, I could see the correlation. Yeah. Or maybe they had hot water sitting in the fire, maybe they fire, had and then they were like, oh, well, might as well just use this.
You know that monks always keep a boiling pot of hot water right there, so they were like,
oh yeah,
throw that in there. And another rendition of the story, Kaldi told the abbot of the monastery, which I think is like the head monk.
Honcho.
And apparently about the berries, who then went on to create a drink from them, resulting in him being able to stay up during the night during evening prayers. So he was like, hey, this is kind of cool. So some people, I think everyone was skeptical about it, but some of the monks were like, this is of the devil. And then the abbot was like, give me some of that. I can stay up during when I'm praying, and I need that.
The abbot was like, oh, you're saying your goats are up all night? That's exactly what I need.
That's what I need, because I've been falling asleep during these prayers.
Don't tell anyone.
And obviously, to disappoint you, this isn't really how it happened. Wah, 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 wah.
We can pretend like it is.
But it's the myth, the legend. It's thought that these coffee cherries or berries were discovered in Ethiopia. So that's sort of the legend that goes with it. So in Ethiopia, apparently the beans were actually originally eaten like a snack. So they ate the berries. I mean, because
humans ate them.
Naturally, like you see a berry and you probably would eat it as long as you knew that it was safe to eat.
Safe,
which if the goats are eating it or whatever.
And they're not dying.
Yeah, like perhaps they did see their animals eating them and that's why they tried them. But the first appearance in, I guess, the historical records of it actually being made into a drink was in Yemen. So this is in, I don't want to get this wrong. This is like in the
Middle East. Okay.
Like Saudi Arabia.
I was almost right.
You were almost right. That's what I'm saying. Like the Middle East has a lot of origins of coffee. So I was like, that's a really good guess, actually.
Hannah, are you about to show me a map right now?
I am about to show you a map.
I'm going to have a panic attack.
Everyone, I'm showing her a map and she might have a heart attack. So Ethiopia's down here, see? And then Yemen is right up here. So it's literally across this little water. So I'm struggling. This is Africa.
Yemen, Ethiopia.
Yep. And then the Middle East over here, Saudi Arabia. So apparently berries discovered probably in Ethiopia, and the drink had its first origins in Yemen, which is in the Middle East. So you were correct. Originally the word was, I'm going to say it wrong. It's an Arabic word, kawa. It was kawa. It was the earliest name for coffee. So that was what they called it, and the drink was probably discovered in about the 15th century. So we're talking about from 800 AD when they thought the beans or the cherries were discovered to the 15th century, so 1400s, when the drink was discovered. It was thought before this point, when it actually became its own beverage, Arab tribes had been making wine with the coffee berries.
Oh.
Yeah.
Coffee wine.
I mean, think of it. There are berries, so you could
Yeah.
You
and
could really make
if
a
you
wine
crush
from
them
it.
with your feet, like you crush the grapes with your feet, like.
No, I'm probably sure. Well, I'm sure they probably took the bean part or whatever. They're you open it and there's two of them in there. I think maybe they took that out and just used the fruit part. I don't know. Because could they crush that?
Probably.
Well, you probably can because they're green when you first get them, so they are probably the inside of the berry. Yeah, but they're harder. I think. I don't know. I've never touched a green coffee bean. So maybe it's softer than I think it is.
Maybe it is.
Maybe.
It probably is if it's green.
Yeah.
It's probably a little mushy.
Because the roasting makes them,
And it probably doesn't taste like coffee.
No. Do you know that they use in the fruit drinks at this place that I worked at? They use green coffee extract from the green coffee beans.
Oh.
So that's where they get the caffeine from. So you can get caffeine from these green coffee beans.
But you also...
Yeah.
But it probably it doesn't taste like coffee.
No, it doesn't taste like coffee because the roasting process is really what brings out the aromatic flavors of the coffee.
Oh, she's getting fancy on me.
I'm getting fancy.
She's using her barista knowledge.
So apparently Arab Sufi monks use coffee to stay awake for the purpose of spiritual experiences and midnight prayers. So this also happened in Yemen. This is it started with the monks. They used it to stay awake because they were so bored during their prayers. Isn't that funny?
Wow.
But apparently,
so sorry.
You're good.
I'm interrupting you.
Go ahead.
So one might argue that coffee is religious.
Yeah. Yes, coffee is religious. So
it's not an addiction, it's a tradition.
And my religion.
Dating back to the monks.
The monks said it was okay to drink coffee, even at night, to stay awake.
Even at night.
So apparently this is more a reliable story than the goat story, which is which is so sad.
It makes more sense.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, apparently where this drink was first, when they first roasted it and it first became kind of like the coffee that we know today in Yemen, it was at their city called Mocha.
Maybe that's where it comes from.
I know, it has to. Isn't that cool?
Mocha.
So this was the place where it was first originally roasted and became the drink that we think of today.
Yeah.
So apparently there's another story of Yemen origin that is kind of similar to the one of the goat herder, the goat man, where he's actually traveling through Ethiopia and he sees some birds eating it.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and he's they're actually acting very silly eating these berries. So he tries them. Yeah. So he tries them and he gets the caffeine buzz from it too.
Oh, okay.
So he's these are
bold.
something. Yeah, I know. I still would be nervous. If I saw an animal eating something, I would still be maybe they can eat it, but I can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they were...
Maybe it's going to tear my stomach up.
I always think of this with discoveries and mushrooms and things. I'm who was the first one to be brave enough to try it?
I mean, if you think about it.
I know, yeah.
There's no technology. You're bored out of your mind.
Yeah,
you're
true.
Yeah, might as well.
Well, and also if you need food, I guess you just...
You're hungry,
look for plants that look edible and then you hope for the best.
Say a little prayer.
The monk said.
Don't let this kill me.
Yeah. The monks who were using it during their midnight prayers, they pray right before they eat it.
Well, and there was probably, this, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm not a historian, but it could be animal testing type of a situation.
Yeah,
my dog can eat what I can eat, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, they did it with the goats and the birds. They were they can eat them. I guess we can.
Yeah.
But like I said before, apparently Ethiopia was the birthplace. I probably said that too many times. But the Oromo tribe in Ethiopia, which was a nomadic tribe, would eat them as a snack. So that's more likely than the actual goat story.
Darn it.
I know. All right, now let's go to coffee houses.
Ooh.
Yeah. So for everyone who doesn't know me as well, I was homeschooled. I think I told you this, but I always read words. So I have a really hard time with pronunciations of like the most basic words because I always read them and I would just read them however I wanted to say them in my mind.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't look them up. And then I would say them and people were like, what are you saying?
What are you trying to tell me right now?
Tell me that's not a word. And then I'm like so embarrassed. But, oh, I forgot how to look this up. But obviously it's a different language. So you know I'm not going to be able to say it. So communal coffee houses called Kava Kana, I think, opened in 1555 in Istanbul during the Ottoman Empire. And people would gather in them for games, news, listening to live music, and having deep conversations. Mm-hmm. So they were nicknamed Schools of the Wise because they would become in there. They were an essential hub of passing along information and things. Yeah. So it really was like, it was kind of like, I read, it was like a tavern, but because the people of Constantinople didn't drink alcohol, they had no needs for taverns because
so it was
religiously
like
they
the
didn't.
Coffee house was their tavern.
Yeah, it was like their tavern.
That's
almost.
Cool.
No, I didn't have that written in my notes, so hopefully I remembered that right. But so an increasing fear rose in the Muslim clerics who wondered if coffee houses would take the place of mosques as gathering spots. And would essentially alter the minds of the people. So
coffee is the devil.
Coffee is the devil because apparently it was thought that it was some sort of like narcotic because of the caffeine. Like they thought that it affected your mind.
I mean, kind of. The caffeine it wakes you up, and then you get once your caffeine high wears off, you get like slow, and you get this lull, and then
And they had a fear because they were gathering in these places. They were coming up with all these sorts of ideas. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So they feared that. So not only did they try to ban coffee houses during this time period, but Sultan Murad the Fourth, who ruled in the 1600s, declared a death penalty for participating in the consumption of the beverage. I would have died in this time period.
Are you kidding?
No, death penalty.
For drinking coffee?
Yeah, and gathering in these coffee houses.
Where was this again?
The Ottoman Empire, so Istanbul.
Okay.
So like in like Turkey and the Middle East. So
like a dictator?
Yeah.
Almost.
So
like if you drink coffee, you're going to realize what I'm doing is messed up. Yeah. So don't do that.
I think he also put a ban on alcohol.
And that's why they couldn't drink it. Yeah.
So it's just like, because they thought that it was like a drug. Mm-hmm. So he was like,
I mean, it's alcohol is essentially poison that you're just drinking, you know?
So apparently when some of these bans happened, I don't know if it was this one or another one because they kept trying to ban them. The Ottoman Turks attempted to do away with the coffee houses. Mm-hmm. And there were pro-coffee mobs that I was in that successfully demanded them to reopen the coffee houses.
You time traveled back and you were in that mob.
I was in that mob. I said, open my coffee house back up. Isn't that funny? Can you believe that coffee was banned wild. And there was a death penalty for it?
And what's even more crazy, not only was it banned and there was a death penalty for it, but people were so upset about it that they rioted.
I told Wes I would have died.
I think that's even more comedic.
Yes,
there's a literal riot.
They loved them. I would have thrown a riot
over coffee,
and that's according to history.com. So I'm putting that all on them.
There you go.
Yeah, that part of it with the reopening the coffee houses. So also this is one of my favorite ones. One of the favorite facts about it, and this is also in Constantinople. Like everything happened in the Middle East for coffee. You were right. So I'm like, what? How come?
Well, I just knew that your fine coffees were usually from a Middle Eastern
Turkish
country.
Coffees.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to try a Turkish coffee. I almost thought about. I was looking up a weird list of coffees and I was like, what if I made one of these and brought it to Felina and made her try it on the show?
Oh boy.
Maybe we should do an extra video on that.
Yeah, we can post it on our Instagram. Yeah. By the way, we have that up.
Yes, let's talk about our Instagram.
Instagram is up. It's called Lattes on My Mind.
Obviously.
All one word, all lowercase. And we are posting when episodes come up, when they're posted. Like we said, we're going to be posting on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So,
and we'll probably also post some fun, like I know you wanted to post a fact about your podcast or a visual so people can see it. So maybe occasionally when we talk about visuals or anything like that, we'll post it so you guys can also see it. But just to keep up with us and to see when they launch, please follow us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's fun. You'll see a little pink and orange picture that says lattes on my mind, just like the podcast.
It's really easy to find.
Very easy. So also, one of the fun legal matters concerning coffee also happened in the Ottoman Empire in Constantinople. Dun, 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 dun. That's the song apparently that Wes was like, have you heard that song about Constantinople? And I was like,
what?
What?
Only Wesley.
I know. During the 16th century, a woman might divorce her husband if he didn't supply enough coffee for her. So
Wesley, you better not make fun of her for getting coffee anymore.
You better keep quiet. No, just kidding.
She will come for you and all your money.
I'm just saying, can they reinstate? No, just kidding. I don't want to divorce my husband. I love my husband very, very much. And I love coffee very, very much.
He's the love of her life. However, he can shut up about how much she gets coffee.
Right. He actually doesn't care, but he's also like, "Are you getting more coffee?" And I'm like, "Listen here,
it's a tradition.
It's a tradition." I know he's so happy that
he can be like, "Do you want me to divorce you for withholding coffee from me?"
The Turkish women did it. I will do it.
I will do it.
Don't tempt me.
In honor.
Don't tempt me.
No, I'm kidding. We shouldn't hold divorce over our spouses.
Oh no, I would never do that. Seriously, I hope everyone knows that.
It would be a joke.
Yeah, I hope everyone knows that we are joking a lot in this podcast.
Yes, it was also a joke.
Yeah.
Whenever I told him to shut up about the coffee, I would also say that to his face.
I would too. Well, also the things that my husband, like the way he jokes, like there's nothing I can say that is worse than anything he's ever said to me. As a joke. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, everyone, I told you, and I mean it with all my heart. I love my husband. We have a good marriage. He is a jokester. That's all. Now, Felina, we're gonna get back to some religious matters here.
Oh boy.
Because this is most important, obviously. According to the NCA, the National Coffee Association, call me.
How do you get into the NCA?
I do not know, but I need to know.
I'll look that up.
Let's look it up.
When's your birthday?
June 7th.
Okay.
You're like signing me up somehow. I like get into the
Hannah's in the
I don't know. I really don't know what they do. I just know that if it's a coffee association, I want to be a part of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know what they do.
It's actually like, a cult.
It's actually a cult, and then I get signed in and I can't do anything about it.
You just gotta give so much money. It's like tithing to the cult.
What do I have to give this week? An ounce of your blood.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, it's for coffee.
Anything for the coffee.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So in the 1600s. Sorry.
I need a second to recover, girl.
Let's grab a sip of coffee, shall we? We're going to have to keep that in because it was funny. We actually said something. We said a funny.
We made a joke. Oh my goodness.
All right. Of course, in the 1600s when coffee arrived in Europe, so now we're moving over to European culture.
It's spreading.
Yeah, it's spreading all over the world. There were reactions to it that were so odd. They dubbed it, according to the NCA, quote, bitter invention of Satan.
It's the devil.
It's the devil. So they dubbed it the, quote, bitter invention of Satan.
Which is wild to me.
I know.
Because they drink leaf water.
The cherries are the devil. Well, yeah, that's what I don't understand. I guess, well, tea has caffeine too.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I don't know why. I guess it was just.
Depends on how you're drinking it and how much caffeine you're going to get.
Right. And I'm going to say this, like, another reason. The Catholic Church was offensively hateful toward its Arabian roots. Because they were opposed to the Middle East culture and the religion there. So, like, the Catholic Church called it this. It's very awful, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why another reason they did not accept it. Not only because of probably its caffeine, but it's from...
because of where it came from.
Yes.
So racist.
It's awful. That's why it's like, I'm going to say this, but I want to disclaim. This is awful. Trigger warning for anyone. But apparently, they brought it to Europe, though. They were like, we're not going to try this because we don't trust...
these people, which is so messed up. So the Catholic Church is like, no, we can't have this coffee.
Mm-hmm. But Pope Clement VIII of Italy was like, it's reached this huge level of everyone making such a big deal about this drink. So he tries it and he loves it so much that he put the seal of papal approval on it and wanted to give coffee its own baptismal, baptize it. But he didn't come to this. He didn't actually do it. But he was like, I want to baptize coffee.
I kind of wish he would.
Wes and I were talking about it. He was like, how do you baptize coffee? Does that mean
a way.
Coffee is baptized.
Coffee is baptized in order to be brewed.
This is true.
you know what?
The Pope wanted to do it, so
We got to do it.
is that how you say it? Papal or is it papal?
I don't know.
Anyway, he approved of it.
I've never heard that word before.
Papal,
Yeah, you just said it.
like of the Pope,
Oh.
is what it means.
Is
like
it popal?
No, it's spelled with an A.
Oh, okay.
We always are learning things as we
We learn new words every day.
Maybe it's papal, but it didn't come to this, and I was very sad because I wanted to hear about coffee being baptized.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so coffee has such religious roots, guys. Coffee is
lesson of today. It's either the devil or highly religious.
Yes, it's either do not do it or I'm making it my religion.
Literally.
Literally. And also, we're going to go political. It's okay. It's way back.
Ooh, spoopy.
In 1773. Drums and fifes, 1773, America.
What just happened? Oh.
I was trying to do drums and fifes and it didn't work.
I've never...
Think colonial America, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Oh my God.
I was like, whoa, hang on.
The American Revolution. Have you heard of it?
Oh.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Well,
I'm kidding. I have.
Pause. No, just kidding. Okay, so during the American Revolution and the Boston Tea Party, which you know of, right?
We dumped our tea.
That's right. We dumped our tea in the Boston Harbor. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, this act influenced coffee's popularity in America because it became patriotic to drink tea.
Right.
Because
yeah.
King George III had placed such a heavy tax on tea. And so even though tea was preferred before, they decided we're switching to coffee.
We're switching to coffee because we are breaking ties with England.
We're
That
breaking
makes
ties.
sense. Yeah.
I also was standing on the shores of the Boston Harbor at that moment, throwing that tea into the harbor. I'm just kidding. I like tea. It's
like
just
tea
not
too.
I love coffee. It's my thing. So I was also there like, we're going to make coffee popular in America. And I threw
She actually is the one who transported back. And she said, Hannah, right here, the girl sitting next to me, the girl's voice who you're hearing, said, we should throw the tea in the harbor.
Exactly.
And so we have her to thank.
And then I rode across the country saying, the lattes are coming. The
lattes are coming.
The British are coming. Anyway, so that's...
we should get little stickers that say, the lattes are coming.
The lattes are coming. And it's like a guy, it's like Paul Revere on a horse, and he's holding like a latte.
Is he on a horse or is he in a boat? If he's going across the pond.
Well, I mean, if he's going across the pond, but Paul Revere rode a horse across.
Okay.
Maybe he could went in a boat too. I don't know. He might have.
You never know. George Washington in a boat. The lattes are coming.
Ooh, he's like crossing the river.
Yeah.
Yes, we could do George Washington.
Should do
okay,
that.
we're gonna make stickers. Anyway, obviously, to get a little sad, not a little sad, but like obviously there's some negative things with coffee because obviously it's the biggest traded commodity in the world after oil. Not the top, it's the second. Oil.
That's how Marshall
Crude
says it.
oil.
Oil.
He says oil. I'm going to change my oil in my car.
And I said oil.
Oil? I can't say anything because apparently I say my O's really weird.
You do.
I think it's from...
Can confirm.
Can confirm. I think it's from my like mom's side of the family. Excuse me. They're closer like to Chicago, and they say their O's a little different. Chicago. So I'm blaming it on them. Love you all. Shout out. Obviously, there's a lot of negative impacts coffee has had in the past, which is unfortunate. Like in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was one of the leading colonial crops alongside cotton, tobacco, and sugar. So there was a large enslaved population that was forced to work on these plantations to grow coffee. So, and it's also had a huge environmental impact because people just, grow it and, destroy the, natural resources that we have while they're growing coffee.
Really?
So yeah, apparently like they destroy the fauna and stuff like to grow
That's a big word for Elmo.
That's a big word for Elmo. Anyway, it's had environmental impact. That's why I think there's such a push to have like ethically sourced coffee a lot. And it's also a source of underpaid workers a lot of the time because they're not giving people. And so unfortunately there is, but I believe this happens a lot with these huge commodities we have, and it's unfortunate.
It is.
But yeah, so it's had a lot of dark history, it's had a lot of fun history, And I'm also wanted to give you some really fast, since we do have time, I think,
Yeah.
some fast little fun facts about coffee, though, to end it. I don't want to end on a sad note.
Speed round. Fast fun
Yes,
facts.
obviously there's been historical, religious, legend, all surrounding coffee. But now we have some fun facts. Do you know? And all these come from like Nescafe.com, BatchCoffeeClub.com, and the South Florida Reporter.com. So check them out if you want to see the facts for yourself. But do you know about Kopi Luwak?
That actually does sound familiar.
I bet you do know about this. A lot of people know about this, but it's the priciest coffee in the world, costing $600 per pound. So,
oh my gosh.
And it's the coffee that's eaten by this little cat called the palm civet, which is naturally fermented in the process. So it's eaten by it. It expels it in little pellets. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, and you eat
and you use the coffee. Yeah, they take it
from their
They
feces.
call it poop coffee. Yeah. Do you want to see this thing? We can
That
also
is
post a little picture of him.
Yeah, we can post
It doesn't look like a cat, but they consider it's like some sort of. Oop, I did not spell that right. Palm civet.
That is like so wild to me that you would like
cute,
eat. That also reminds me of a.
Isn't that cute? It's like an Asian.
Well,
palm
it doesn't know
civet.
that we're using its poop to drink.
It probably doesn't care. It probably just like, I'm eating berries.
I'm eating berries and I poop
cute.
it out. But that reminds me of this TikTok that I saw where it was like, how you save for a house in 2024, and it was like the guy ate corn and then he relieved himself into a strainer and then cleaned it out and ate corn and then relieved himself and cleaned it out and ate corn. But obviously it was a joke. He wasn't actually doing this, but it was like, yeah.
But you could do that. That's the thing. Is like corn doesn't like digest, right? It's like, oh, ew. So yeah, that's what's happening with these guys. They're eating the berries and then they collect it. And I'm like,
and it's $600 to drink poop.
It apparently like naturally ferments it in the process of like the digestion. And so that it takes.
You're paying $600 to drink poop water.
Poop water.
You're nasty.
You can do that at Dunkin' Donuts. No, just... I'm sorry. Okay.
If you like Dunkin' Donuts.
This is not to be, I don't even know if I've really had Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
It was a joke.
I honestly have a Dunkin' Donuts bottled coffee in my fridge right now. So really.
So she's a poser.
I am. I don't go to Dunkin' Donuts to get coffee. We'll just say that. But
we don't really have one around us. Like close enough to justify.
They're opening one, but yeah. I'm not going to say where, obviously, but they're opening one.
We don't really have it. We have so many Starbucks.
Right. Beethoven made his coffee with precisely 60 beans. You want to talk about me being picky about my coffee? Precisely 60 beans. He counted out
60 beans.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Beethoven. He was so picky about his coffee, he had to have it exactly the same.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is wild.
Brazil is the largest producer of coffee in the world.
I believe that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. South American coffee is a lot more floral. Mm-hmm. If you didn't know that. Unless I don't know that. Unless I said that wrong. But, in 1932, Brazil almost couldn't afford to send their athletes to the Olympics. The 1932 Olympics. So they sold coffee to get them there. Like, what? Yeah, like during the, they put them on the boat with the coffee and sold it along the way so they could go to the Olympics.
That's so
Isn't
cool.
that cute?
That's so sad, honestly.
It's sad, but it's heartwarming too.
I feel like a country shouldn't be excluded because they cannot afford to get their athletes there.
This was 1932, so.
Well.
But I feel like you shouldn't be excluded either, and regardless. I'm sure that there's I don't know if the country's.
Sure it's changed now, but I just feel like, and maybe that's just.
No, I agree.
Being sensitive or whatever, but these athletes work so hard and they're so good and they could win it, but they cannot afford the travel, so they can't go to the Olympics.
Yeah, it shouldn't depend on that.
It shouldn't depend on that. It's cool that that's what they did. That's the fun fact, but they shouldn't have had to do that.
No, not at all. Which hopefully that's not how I don't know how the process goes now, but
yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. And let's see. Oh, apparently the most effective or best period of the day to drink coffee is between 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. based on your cortisol levels, as they usually drop around this time.
Really?
From your morning high.
Is that for men or for women?
I don't know.
Because I know that women have from 2 to 4.
That could be wrong. Yeah.
It's a lull.
Apparently, it's just the best time to get the caffeine in your
pump
stomach.
through your veins.
And I was definitely not for me because, girl, if I wake up during that time, I wake up for that time for work. But I'm not waking up on a weekend for that.
I woke up last weekend at 9:00.
Get out of here.
Well, Marshall, again, I think I said this. Marshall woke me up with Chick-fil-A. He tried to wake me up, didn't wake up. And then all of a sudden he walked in like 30 minutes later with Chick-fil-A.
But he brought you Chick-fil-A.
He brought me Chick-fil-A. I smelled it and said, "Do you have Chick-fil-A?
I am awake.
Is that Chick-fil-A?"
I don't know. So I was like, I don't know about that one. But that was the fact that was shared. It might be different for people.
Depending on gender. Age, yeah.
The cappuccino was inspired from Capuchin monks and how their robes looked. So based on the color of their robes in reference to the appearance of the cappuccino. So I guess it's like a little brown or so. Oh, is it doing it?
It's doing it.
Our sign is flickering again, our neon sign.
Anyways.
I just mentioned monks. It was just the
monks.
And the color of their robes and how it influenced the cappuccino. But that's where the name comes from.
That's
because
cool.
It's very... I should be able to say it because it's like cappuccino almost, but I can't say it.
Every time you say it, I'm like, cappuccino. Makes
cappuccino.
Sense.
Typical Americans will purchase around $1,100 worth of coffee during an entire year. That's low for me.
$1,100?
Yeah. So I guess this might be also like beans. I don't think it's just like iced coffees. On coffee. Per year. You know, we probably do. We don't want to think about it, but like think about if you buy a $7 cup of coffee 4 times a week. 3 times, that's $21. So that multiplied by 4 times. I don't want to think about it because Wes is like,
she's like, I don't want to think about it because then I'll have to stop getting it.
Oh, I do think about it and then I'm just like, meh. I'm like, well, okay, but
here's the thing about it though, you guys. Here's the thing.
It's a small joy.
It's a small joy. It's a small little treat. It's not going to break the bank. And you know, there's no point in spending all of that or in saving all of your money and never getting anything.
Never enjoying anything.
Fun or a sweet little treat or anything. So you might as well get your sweet treat and enjoy life a little bit better because you never know what's going to happen. And for all you know, you could get, God forbid, get in an accident on the way to work.
And I better have a latte in my hand when that happens.
Get that coffee because you were like, oh, money. You know, like, I understand if times are tight, but just do the small joys.
Treat yourself.
$7.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. In the long run, come on, guys. I know it adds up.
Yes, it's like, well, I can make it at home. Well, then that's fine. Then make it at home. But you're still spending money on the coffee.
Well, whatever way you prefer your coffee.
Yeah.
Have your coffee.
Yeah.
Like, if I could make my coffee taste as I like it, like, if I had...
Which is bizarre to me that you can't, because you were a barista.
Well, I know, but it's because the espresso machines, none of them... Yeah. You have to have a really good espresso machine. If I had a very good espresso machine... that would be different. Mm-hmm. And if I kept it like clean and had like a nice space for it, then I would do it. But I need to save up money for an actual espresso machine. And then I'll probably make myself more. I used to have a smaller one, which was pretty good, but it's still not quite the same as having an espresso machine. But if I had the espresso machine and the means to make it taste like it, then I would probably do it more at home. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we apparently spend $1,100 worth of coffee during an entire year. And now, I'm going to save that one for the last. Okay, webcams were first invented to see if a coffee pot that was down the hall was full or not by Cambridge computer science students who attached a camera onto a computer. They were so lazy. They didn't want to walk down the hall.
So were they lazy or were they busy?
They were smart.
Think smarter,
computer
not
science
harder.
students. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were tired of walking down the hall to see if it was empty or not. So they rigged a camera so they could see if the coffee pot was empty.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
That's wild.
Yeah. That's apparently the...
It's also, I feel like, unhealthy a little bit. Because, like, I mean... How often I'll get up and I'll go to the bathroom because I'll be like, I gotta stretch my legs and take a break. You gotta get up and walk. Yeah. I'm gonna go pee real quick. Right. You know, like.
I think they were mad because they would go down there and be empty. So I think it was more about like, is it empty or not? Or do we need to go make it? Yeah. They had mentally prepared.
That's true.
I think it was more for that. But now, our last little fact is about a cat. It is claimed that the oldest cat who ever lived, who was 38 years old, drank coffee every day. And her name was Cream Puff. Her name was Cream Puff.
Cream Puff the cat.
Yeah. Apparently she drank coffee every day. Supposedly.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I gave my cat coffee.
Would she like it?
I don't think she'd drink it.
I think I read, I think this was on Wikipedia, but I was just like confirming a fact that she drank it with cream. Like coffee with cream.
Oh. So I bet they like slowly added coffee into her cream. Like
probably.
More amount
but black coffee is like actually healthier. Like it's not, there are like some
all
like
I know
cases
is the cold brew from 7 Brew has 0 calories in it.
Oh yeah, coffee is 0 calories.
Coffee
itself and espresso most of the time is 0 calories, but like the stuff you put in it obviously isn't. Like the cream and the sugar and all that crap. The coffee usually is, yeah.
Oh.
Well, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's like 5 calories. It's like very low.
It's low calorie, yeah.
But a lot of it, if you only get a certain amount, is 0 calories.
But it's also so bitter.
Probably cold brew because it's mixed with water. Well,
yeah.
it's all mixed with water, but
It's how they baptized it, remember?
They baptized. Maybe we should just go ahead and do it for Pope Clement VIII and go ahead and baptize
do it
coffee.
in his honor.
Yes, although he was an awful man. But so we won't do it in his honor, but we'll do it in spite of him.
But he wanted it.
He did want it. Yeah, he wanted to do it and he didn't. And I don't know why he didn't do it. They didn't tell me that.
Probably because they were like,
that's crazy and sacrilegious. Bro, it's already in water.
Literally, you baptize it all the time.
Right.
Maybe that's what they were telling him. Maybe they were like, every time you make coffee.
You're baptizing it already. And of course, you told me not to do this much information, and I did.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. I feel like we had a fun time.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about coffee.
We
needed to. We need to know this information because
if
we're literally
lattes on my mind.
We're literally named lattes on my mind.
Yes.
But there's a lot more information about coffee out there, so you guys go have fun with that.
And if you find out any other little fun facts you think that we might enjoy, let us know through email or Instagram. Our email is at lattespodcast@gmail.com. Our Instagram is lattesonmymind.
Yeah. Message us and tell us all the little fun facts about coffee I did not cover.
Yeah.